hello and welcome to our guest today, a live guest interview. We're very excited because we have an extremely special guest today, Miss Monica Watkins, who in her own right is an extremely successful person in the business community, but she's also our client. We're helping her sell, and we've done a remodel. We've done amazing things together as a team, Daniel and Monica and I. And today I'm going to have Daniel ask the 3 questions that Monica has developed answers for, and we hope our guests truly enjoy this episode. And please don't forget that we are realtors. Please call us on our cell phone. All our information is provided, and please subscribe to our channel. And thank you very much. So with all that having been said, we're going to have Daniel take it away. Mr. Daniel Selena, please take it away. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Catherine. And once again, I just want to say welcome to our wonderful guest, Monica. And the first question that I had for you, Monica, was, to begin, can you tell us about your current career and a little bit of background on that?
Yep. So first, thanks for having me today. And it's a pleasure and an honor to be a part of your channel and your ongoing involvement here. So my career, it's it's one that has it's been increasing in roles and responsibilities. I'm currently working for a biotech company as a global policy and training analyst. Prior to that, I was managing an order operations team for a good chunk of 8 years. But I just stepped into this role, and I've only been with this company for a year, and it's an amazing company. And I wouldn't say this normally because, the corporations and the companies I've pretty much been with have had their share of challenges and opportunities. But I will say that where I am right now, they are really walking the walk and talking the talk, with regards to diversity and empowering, their employees to challenge the status quo. And this is a corporate position. And I'm really proud to say that I am part of this corporation to help better pay it forward for other people who look like me, right? We don't often have an opportunity. When I say we, I mean people who are brown skin, people who are underrepresented, females, women who are over a certain age, who are deemed, too old for, their roles and whatnot. And I fit all of those. I check all those boxes.
You and I both.
So yes. And I believe that the only way for me to be able to leave a mark in whatever ways to be able to pay it forward, to lay the foundation, to encourage others to walk outside of their comfort zone. So my career, although I write documentation, I do training, I'm an advocate for users from a global perspective. What I really do and what I really take pride in is, how do I empower people to make better decisions within their daily roles? And how do I empower people to really want to do the right thing even when the situation isn't right? So I don't see and I don't really see my career as, yes, I come to work and I do certain things to fill that role. But what I see myself as really is, how do I create that change, that process thought of change, that innovative thought of change, and actually create the mindset of, is this really the right thing to be doing right now? And what could I be doing better? I like to ask those questions. I like to poke the holes. I like to say to people, closed mouths don't get fed. Walk outside of your comfort zone and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And there's this really, I have to just, there's this great TED Talk. I just have to put that out there. If you type it in, get comfortable with uncomfortable, there's a great TED Talk on it. So please, by all means, I don't mean to be pumping that up, but that just came to light.
Beautiful.
But yes.
That really resonates. Yeah. It's huge. It's a big part of our mantra. I mean, we get we're so proud to, it sounds so bizarre in 2021 that we would still be looking at deeds, as you referenced before the call. We were talking about the deed to your home in San Leandro that your parents bought, having had those redlining, no people of color allowed in that community.
Yeah.
When I read that, I'm getting chills right now.
Yeah.
Because it seems bizarre that you and I and Daniel and Manuel and the rest of the team, Monica Watkins, would be actually still undergoing struggles.
Yeah.
Some of them are self-inflicted. I mean, I think that sometimes when a group has been, removed, or, speaking as a person, my family, my dad's side is Jewish, I know sometimes you can self-harm yourself because you believe you can't. And you start making self-inflicted errors because you believe that you're not, or, for myself, I feel that I'm less than because I'm not really white. I'm not really a white person. I am Caucasian, but I'm not really that Caucasian. I'm not that, and you start self-inflicting wounds. So I think that's been as much of a challenge as anything for us to make this move together.
Absolutely.
And it's huge, and it's painful. And the mindset and the thinking and the self-sabotaging thinking, no, this shouldn't be hard in 2021. But I think it's true that women now, I've been yearning for that. Like, why now? Where are the women in our age group? Where are they? Where are their voices? Why do we only see the cute bunny? Where are we? I don't think they have value to us. Like, we want to hear from them, right?
Yeah.
And they've been missing.
They've been missing because I think society has said that they're not important anymore, or or maybe they're just not visible because they've been, like Black Americans, like Asian Americans, which
marginalized.
That's me, exactly. And the voices, we're the advocates for those women.
Yeah, and you're saying you have to be that.
That's right.
And I would completely agree with that, because if not us, who? If not now, when?
That's right. And it's funny that you talk. Well, funny, not funny, but you talk about the redlining. When we first moved in, if I can share this, one of our neighbors, I will just say one of our neighbors, said that they could not believe that they allowed Black people to move into the home that my parents purchased
at that time.
And we are of mixed race, and I was never Black enough, I was never Asian enough, I was never enough. Right. And those are and to your point, those are the self-deprecating thoughts and words and actions, or lack of action, that I have embodied because that's what society has told me.
Because you can't get out of your body.
Right. But it's that mindset that we play into, and we're playing our own film in our head, because to your point, who was there to say, no, you can get out of it, you can do it, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And it wasn't until much later that I actually found Girls Incorporated that said, you're strong, you're smart, you're bold, you can do this, you are empowered to make decisions, you have a voice, use your voice. And short of becoming, that angry, I will save the words, I had to relearn how to use my voice to make a difference. And I have. And even if it's the smallest amount of difference, even if it's one person, guess what? That's one more person that can think differently than what they actually thought of prior to meeting me.
Right, because you are that one important person to us. So you're not the first Zillow African American or partially or mixed race person that I've met on Zillow trying to help them move out of the Bay Area. You're not. You have gotten much further than some of them got, and some of them fell into horrible potholes. And I know it's not because of the law anymore. It's not. It's because of this.
That self-harm.
Harm.
It is. It's the inner saboteur. And I have named her because I realize if you're careful about your thought, you can actually say, I'm catching that thought. You have no existence and value to me, and you toss her out. And I had to name her because in my mind, I've played that role because that's what my society, that's what my family, parts of my family has given me. That's right. If you stay here, you're always going to be comfortable because that's what makes us comfortable. Well, guess what? It's not about being comfortable, and it's not about your comfort. It's not about your box. It's about my box and where I need to be and what I need to be doing.
And your legacy. So Daniel and I are working together with legacy. Legacy is not the big word on the top of my mind. I never thought of legacy much. But legacy, I mean, Daniel's pulling himself from one class to another class. You're pulling yourself from one class to an even higher class. You have done that through education. Now you're doing it through real estate.
Yep.
You know, we are not willing to stay in that box.
Nope.
If other people want to, they can. They're
That's
more
right.
than able. But what that means is that your child now has completely different options, multiple, like a span of options. They could sit there at the new home in Ripon, California, wherever it is. They could not motivate, or they could become, you know, multi-millionaire moguls or entrepreneurs or whatever, because they could remember, well, my mom, she look what my mom did, look where she brought me to. And they could keep, my grandfather came through Ellis Island. He came here when he was 12.
Yeah.
He sewed he sewed in the garment district. He became a furrier, but he did send my dad to college. He worked his way till he was blind, but he had 2 apartment buildings. He brought other Jews over from Europe that were able to live in his apartment buildings.
Yep.
So how could a 12-year-old coming through Ellis Island with a mother that was a widow with 5 children, came after him, he came alone? How does a person do such a thing?
Yeah.
If he can do that, he lives in me.
Yeah.
We can keep going.
That's right.
You know, Daniel's got incredible stories of refugee stories of the killing fields, and
Oh yeah.
his family has been through in his DNA.
Yeah.
But there's nothing can stop us except our thinking. And
That's
our
right.
actions.
That's right. Or lack thereof. That's right. That's why I decided to go get my graduate degree I'm in my mid 40s, you know, and I graduated on time through COVID, through the death of my mom, through losing my job. I finished within a time frame and I just kept going. So you can't tell me that you can't do it because you have issues. We all got issues and we all have to deal with trials and tribulations, but how much do you want it?
That's
How
right.
much do you want it?
That's
And
right.
if you really want it, you are gonna go through and change heaven, earth, and the land in between to get what you want the right way, so you can establish what it is you came to on this earth and why you're put on this earth to do.
And that makes you a leader. That makes you a leader, Monica Watkins. That makes you a leader, not a follower. You're not following the road to nowhere.
Yeah, no, you make your own road. When people tell you you can't do it, guess what? You get out whatever tools that you have, you create and pick up new tools along the way, and you create the road you need to create to get you where you need to get to. You know, my people have died to allow me to have an education, a higher education, a quality education.
On both sides.
On both sides, on all sides. I have family likewise in Vietnam that have died through the war. Yes, right? My great-grandparents were slaves and Native Americans, right? And that doesn't go too far. My dad would have been 100 this year. Just to give you some context, how rich my more immediate history is. It's not, several lines down.
No.
My grandparents were sharecroppers.
Mhm.
So all of that we read in books, if my grandparents were alive, I would have been able to get that firsthand. My dad passed some of those stories on to me. It's rich. So there's no reason why I get to sit here now, quote unquote, comfortable, simply on somebody else's shoulders. No. We got to make a better path for our kids. We got to make a better path for people. And when I say people, I mean women, I mean Black women, I mean Asian women, I mean all women of color, no matter your age.
This is
You
our
can do it.
moment.
Yes.
This is our moment. This is the moment when
Absolutely.
nobody's saying no anymore. They're all saying it's time to include. Daniel and I just went to the convention, the real estate convention in San Diego, and it was all like, they were all like they had to invite Indians to speak. They had to invite, right? They were trying. I could see that even though they were a bunch of old white guys who really are about to retire, they were trying. They saw it. Somebody told them. Somebody was like, okay, guess what? Things are changing. We can't go on like this. You have got to make this more fair. Would you agree with that, Daniel?
100%. With the realtors convention, it was definitely, majority of what you were saying, but they were trying to include diversity. That's what it was. I saw one of these panels that we went to was an Asian speaker. In fact, 2 panels that we went to were Asian speakers, and that was pretty interesting to see.
Yeah.
That shows a lot of diversity and just difference in this world.
Yeah, they're trying. They're moving forward. They're snapping out of it, I feel. For the first time, literally, because they're doing actions that show that. Daniel, did you have another question? I don't want to keep you in the background here.
Oh, yes. We actually covered up my second question during that whole conversation. Yeah, so just for reference, my second question I wanted to ask was, how has race and gender affected our job? But we went over that so much more, definitely.
Yeah. Did you?
And that was wonderful. I loved it.
Thank you. Did you want to move on to your third question?
Yes. So, Monica, my third question for you, and I feel like this would really reach with your insights and you'll like this, is that what are some future political goals do you have? Because from the way you're talking, I know you want to be a leader and spread wisdom of love and inclusivity.
Yeah. So, I think my passion to have some kind of public seat, excuse me, I have to drink some water. Started when I was back in high school, and I found myself within the Girls Inc. Organization. And before I even got to college, I thought, I'm going to do political science. I have to make a change. There's something burning inside of me that I know I can make a difference. We can make a difference. Well, I got to college, I found engineering, and I found all this other stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute. But now that I have kids, now that I am older, I'm done with my grad school, I'm thinking I need to make the environment better for my kids. How do I help influence and just be a part of conversations till at least I don't have to win, but what I have to do is change the game. And the fact is, if I could just throw my hat in somewhere that says, you know what, she didn't win, but we heard what she said. And if those changes start to resonate with just one person, and they might think, you know what, maybe we're looking at this differently. That's a change. But it's not about winning.
But I think you could, because what is winning? I mean, I ran for public office. I lost by 200 votes, but I got 11,000 votes. I mean, what is winning? Right. I sabotaged on one day. I failed to go to BART and hand out flowers on one day. I could have won. I did that to me. But I think you could win because I feel like you have a way of languaging things that's new and it's not combative. Like, people don't really want to fight with everybody.
Right.
There's so much fighting that goes on. Like, I've bowed out of all political conversations because I don't want to fight with you. If you love a certain politicians and I do not see it that way, either we can share ideas about it or we cannot share ideas about it.
Yep.
I can share why I don't support a candidate. I can share why I do. Yep. That's what politics is supposed to be. It's a lot like religion. Like, Daniel, we were going to have a show about what you can't talk about, what we can't talk about. So in real estate, in any sales career, we can't talk about certain things. Yep. Religion and politics are like the two things that whenever you say black, your client says white. Whenever you say white, your client says black. They want you to say one thing and you say the wrong thing, and now you don't have any paycheck coming in because you said the wrong thing. So, and people are so extreme. But I do feel like you have that beauty of your middle ground and your languaging and your education and your mixed race. I feel like you could actually verbalize this in a way that is new and important. And if you can, it's winning to do that. That's winning.
Yeah. That and that's part of it, right? It's being able to just change the stage. So we got to change the stage. And what I see when I'm looking at the Chamber of Commerce and I'm seeing all these pictures that are taken in front of these beautiful statues and cities, I want to see more people that look like me who can represent me. And maybe I don't represent so much, or maybe some of my thoughts and ideas won't apply so much. But guess what? we're always going to have some kind of color. We're always going to have some kind of, mixed race, mixed gender. Right. There's the others, whatever the others are. It needs to be inclusive to make sure that everybody gets that same right. No one should be judged for who they are and their choices unless they're hurting someone. Right.
It's hurting someone.
But you know what? The simple fact of the matter is you got to change the stage. And how do you change the stage? You got to be a part of the game. You got to get on the playing field.
That's right.
If you're not on the playing field, then you might as well sit on the sidelines and not have an opinion. But if you feel compassionate enough, you got to throw your hat in the ring, and you got to say, okay, this may be out of my depth, but this is what I think might be good to consider.
Absolutely. It makes me sad to hear you second guess yourself. I truly believe that if all people are not represented, it's not a democracy. So one person, one vote, equal representation under the law.
Yeah.
Reverend Martin Luther King, I mean, he said it, we never created it, but but it's actually what it says in the Constitution.
Yeah, it does.
The founding fathers said.
That's right. But
if it takes us another 100 years to get there, then that doesn't mean that we're not right for trying to say this is where we're going.
Right. And I wonder when they were writing this document about, equality for all, if equality for all in their minds just applied to certain folks at that time because no one else were considered humans at that time. Right. So I also question that as well. But there are people who have the illusion that it doesn't matter now. You're right. And that's exactly it. So let's take the words.
Far we've got to hear now.
Yes.
So based on the fact that we've got to hear there, and the laws and the attorneys and the people that have fought to get us to here now, we don't have to go back to whatever they perceive that as.
Right. So for all means everyone, because we are all humans. We are all humans, period, the end. And we all deserve fair treatment. We all deserve love. And we all deserve some equality.
And we deserve representation.
That's
and
right.
You being willing to be of service means that you're willing to serve those who are not being heard because they have no representation. So
the underrepresented.
Will you come up with things that they don't agree with, like, the school board thing or whatever, like you don't agree specifically? If you're willing to be of service and represent those you serve, such as Daniel and I with real estate. So Daniel and I with real estate, we talk about this a lot. And the new RPA, the new residential purchase contract, if you rewrite another contract, you'll be getting a different contract. We went to a seminar yesterday. It's actually different. But the very first thing that the guy running the seminar said was, and the very first thing it says in the contract is, the realtors are not a party to this transaction. And Daniel and I, we talk about that all the time. We are not a party to this transaction. We are representing our clients. So if you become an elected official, Monica Watkins, it's the same thing applies. You'll be representing them and you'll have to listen to them.
That's right.
And when you do that, you'll do a good job. I mean, if you care about that.
Yeah, and I do.
Yeah,
I do.
That's just a simple credo.
Yep.
Go ahead,
Yep.
Dan.
I was to say 100%. I agree with that. Monica really does preach some things that I agree with, and that's every human deserves the three big things. It was life, liberty, and the right to pursue happiness. As long as you're not harming anyone, we should be able to spread that idea and that concept.
That's right.
And there's got some political goals too. Actually, we talked about this a lot. It's a little tricky with sales to navigate it, but he definitely has always wanted to be a political person and support that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, if that's where your passion is and to make change, you got to do the hard stuff to make the change, right? And whether or not it's your political career, within your career, educational career, we're always faced with those defining moments and our choices to really make those changes and how we affect people. And again, it doesn't have to be an audience or, an auditorium room full of people. It could be one person in that moment, those defining moments where you can share some and be transparent about your position or just another perspective it provides framework to possibly helping to change
exactly.
some of the thoughts that's floating out there.
Yeah, you just can't imagine how many people we've missed out on that could have done great service because they
Yeah.
doubted themselves or thought,
Yeah.
oh, well, who needs to hear from me? But
Right.
actually, we do. We do
Yeah.
hear from the Monica Watkins and the Daniel Salinos. I feel. I mean, obviously, I'm half Jewish. Jewish people are chronically supporting civil rights and chronically, supporting the rights of people, due to what happened to us in Germany. We're
That's
chronic.
right.
So I probably don't represent a lot of people by saying that, but representing myself and what I believe is the moment we're in, I feel that both of you have things to offer people that I don't represent, people that could see you and resonate and be hopeful, and the little girl or the little boy that says,
That's right.
well, if he can do that, I could be president.
That's right.
No.
That's right. And that's the hope and the dream that we need to be pushing for people to get outside of the comfort zone and stop going down the roads that were quote unquote made for you. Make your own road. Make your own road. Do and fulfill every part of who you need to be. Don't allow other people's definition to define what you do. And I had to learn that over and over again so many times in my life. I see you smiling, Daniel.
I love how you worded that right there. You truly, only you know yourself. Yeah. You cannot let other people, what they view you as, define you.
Right. That's right. You know what? If we weren't on and recording right now, I'd probably shed a tear or two because it hit so close to home. And I'm so grateful that I'm allowed just a little bit of time on your show and your station to share with whomever comes across this recording, because again, whoever hears this, they might be like, oh my gosh, it might provide another framework and perspective that next time they're making a decision, they can refer back to this conversation and they can say, you know what, maybe we're not thinking about something a certain way, let's try this approach instead. And it's hard to stop your way of thinking because that's your way of thinking. That's status quo. But maybe someone will come across this and say, I'm going to challenge myself every time I make a decision to take different perspectives, because this is what I learned from, Catherine and Daniel's show. So I'm hoping this resonates with someone, one person.
Absolutely. One person. So we've had a lot of my family on here because I have some really interesting family. We had this one show with my cousin, Darlene Emily. She goes by Emily now. It was like a 28-minute, it's had the most views. It was like 1 million years long. We were like, nobody's going to watch this. It was like, she's very liberal. She's very political. She's a performance artist. She's a professor at San Diego State. She went through a lawsuit. I was coaching her. She won the lawsuit, but they were trying to fire her. She's a woman. She's older than us. She's older than me. They tried to marginalize her, call her crazy. They did all these things to her, but she has the most views of all our other shows.
You know why? Because she spoke to the people that actually had some passion towards that, because they too didn't have that voice and that advocate. So again, whoever comes across this recording and this session, please reach out. Let's have another conversation. Let's start something here. Let's start a revolution. Let's do this.
That's why I was really hoping you would move to Ripon, because Ripon is a little more strategic to represent the Stockton people, which is very up and coming kind of Asian group, and plus it is San Joaquin. So that was how I saw you strategically moving. But that's just me always wanting to be a campaign manager.
Yeah.
That's one of my dreams.
Well, you know what? You and I do work well together, Catherine. One of these days, we might have to just have a different kind of conversation. And
maybe you and Daniel too. Maybe Daniel too, because it's truly a dream of his.
And
it's really doable. I did almost win. I got over 11,000 votes. It's hard. You have to raise money. You have to find people to raise money. You have to get signs out there. It's about signage. It's about going to events. It's about connecting. But I still know Nancy Pelosi. I still know Willie Brown. I still know and have very great affection for a lot of those people that do that stuff.
Yeah.
And I would be more than happy to support either one of you if you wanted to do that sincerely, in all honesty.
You know
I
what?
appreciate it.
I do too. And I think I feel it in my bones that good things are coming. You know, it cannot be stagnant where it's at. I feel like the movement,
Yeah.
there's good things coming. There
Yeah.
are going to be good things coming.
Yeah, I had the most amazing campaign manager. I actually cannot remember his name right now, but he he wrote the Sunshine Ordinance, which is all laws pertaining to the people must be made available for the people to see them. So no lock
That's
file.
right. Yep.
He wrote that. He was a transsexual.
Mm-hmm.
He was undergoing the change.
Yep.
And he just wanted to be my campaign manager.
I love it.
And he just, so he was not like, like one of the fancy guys. He never got paid a penny. Neither one of us made any money, but he was a person who had, now looking back, it was really quite amazing that he chose to be my manager, because he chose me. He found me. He said, I want to be your manager. And he had written this incredible ordinance. I ran into down at the recorder's office or the board of supervisors, I guess, because I used to go all the time. I still go now here in Stanislaus County. I go. Yeah. And so, I know that amazing things can happen because I had no money. I was not in any committees. I was not a member of either committee. I was not involved in any of the important groups. I ran as a total outsider, and I just had a desperation and passion to run. So I got up one day and I started running for office. I just ran for office. I had been a precinct captain 2 years in a row. I got the vote twice in my precinct, more than the history of San Francisco. I worked for the urban forest. I got the trees planted. I worked with the Catholic Charities. The nuns came alongside us and planted trees. I did some big projects, but it was just abstract. For some reason, I felt things had to change and I had to do it. And people are like, you crazy? I'm like, no, I just got up and I started walking.
I started
walking and I started going and I started talking and I ran with Gavin Newsom, the governor now. He ran, I saw him every week. We went to the same places. We made our pitch and I know, so who am I? Nancy Pelosi was there all the time. She supported women. I mean, people hate Nancy Pelosi now apparently, but I still feel that beauty and love that she showed.
That's right.
I feel it in my heart. And people who hate Democrats don't hate me for saying that on the show, but she was personally kind to me. And that was my experience. And Hillary Clinton, another person that people really hate. She was personally kind to me. And just putting her arm around me, taking the photo. I never knew her much more than that. And I would just say that those kind of supporters, that can carry you a long way when you don't know where you're going or how to get there. But if you have the passion, like Daniel and I were sharing, they used to tell me back in 2025, anyone can be a real estate agent, but if you have the passion, you can succeed. If you don't have the passion, we can't give that to you.
That's right.
So if you have the passion to do this, I would say the same thing. I would say go with the passion, if it's your passion, but nobody can give that to you. You have to have it.
That's right. That's right. The end of that, because there's nothing more to add. You got to find that drive and that love within yourself to want to get it done.
That's right.
Period.
And you've shown it over and over. So we probably came to the end of our time together on the show. Thank you for hanging out with us on the show. We're so honored to have Ms.
Thank
Monica
you.
for amazing, incredible, bright future, and Daniel Solino too with his amazing, bright future. Follow along with our show. Please subscribe. Maybe you'll see a political campaign being launched right here today, and you can join in on our blog and you can tell us what topics are important to you. We'll share them with Monica and Daniel. Maybe they can represent some of the things that matter to you. We're wide open. We're not signing on to any agenda. We're wide open. We want to represent. We want to be of service. And so please call us on our cell phone. Don't forget that we make a living with real estate. Please send us your friends and family. And we're so proud to be part. And also we'd like to wish you all a very happy holidays. And don't forget the meaning of the season. And keep the love and the faith. And thank you guys.
Yes, thank you.
It's
Such an honor. 'Tis the season.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Have a great day.
I'm beginning to see the light.